Lori Ann Spagna here with you today. We're going to talk about another juicy and amazing piece of information regarding Ascension and the Ascension timelines and how that's related to the divide and conquer mentality and why this is so important to really understand. So most of humanity, you can see division in a lot of the reality that's undergoing, especially at the lower timeline reality experiences where they're having racial injustice become more and more of an issue, and where it's been an ongoing, like, Democrat, Republican, Trump versus everybody else. This is one of the biggest, most obvious areas where we can see the divide and conquer mentality playing out. We can see it in all the gender inequality issues that have been rising to the surface, even through the Me Too movement, and certainly all the sexual injustice that's related to gender inequality. It's going to be a loud boat going by. I'm on a lake, and they're playing on the lake, and we can also see it related to everywhere you see sort of sides duking it out. And even with regard to the light against the dark concept, even in a lot of high vibe light workers, you sort of see this kind of like us against them, light and dark. And we will, even when we're in that tribe, we'll say we still need to love and forgive them because they don't know, but they're still duking it out in the wrongness and the injustice of what's been done against humanity. There's lots of layers to that. And most importantly, when we're looking at and investigating the divide and conquer mentality, we have to find it and seek it within ourselves. Wherever we are experiencing division in our life, we have divide and conquer mentality within ourselves. So everywhere, especially where we're playing a blame game that someone else external to us has done something to us. And also a victim-victimizer game, that someone is a victimizer and someone is a victim. And also a sabotage game where somebody somehow sabotaged us. So this is playing out in all of the lower realms, even at the sort of top realms, so to speak, in a hierarchical kind of perspective. It is very deeply embedded into us, and it will play out over the next year and a half, especially astrologically. And by the way, you do need to go watch my video on how your astrology is holding you back and keeping you stuck in an old paradigm. I love astrology, but we're all waking up here. So anyway, you see this. It will be playing out in the next year and a half, especially while the North Node in astrology is hanging out in Gemini, which is like duality. The game of duality plays out. And so this is a significant time to level up out of duality. But before you can do that, one of the critical pieces is to recognize divide and conquer mentality. And we understand that divide and conquer mentality was instilled into our consciousness throughout basically the eternity of our existence in this game of division and separation. In very physical terms, if you're brand new to this concept, understand that when you tune into mainstream media, which is propaganda, it is run by 6 global elite organizations that are connected to the government, the world religions, the pharmaceutical industries, the banking industries. They're running all of that. Govern means to govern. Ment means the mind. To govern your mind through mainstream media. And this is also, I think it's Project Mockingbird. Is that the project? You guys can fill that in because I don't remember the name. Or maybe it's Project Paperclip. Or I don't remember all the particular projects. But I think it was Mockingbird too. Anyway, that's not where I was going to go with this conversation. So let's just stay focused. Is that if you're watching lamestream media at all. There is a higher agenda to govern your mentality, to govern your mind. And one of the primary ways they do this, it's not a they or them, we agreed to it, to participate in it, is through brainwave entrainment and energetic entrainment, which also includes what we could refer to as a transhuman agenda, to sort of get you to just follow orders and just believe what you're being told. And one of their primary methodologies, among many, is divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. Right now, what we're dividing and conquering on is, COVID or a virus, a deadly virus. But in reality, what's going on is there is a higher agenda, so to speak, through the lamestream media to divide and conquer. And you can see it playing out in all the key stories that they feed to the masses through this. Now, what happens to people who are brainwave entrained to this, and the mentality is being governed, they have imprints, and it gets coded into the DNA, unfortunately, as well as, of course, the unconscious, to argue and debate, disagree, argue, debate. They also get very wired into skepticism and cynicism and disbelief and a lot of doubt. So you can always identify these people in social media, by the way, because they will be arguing and debating about whatever is presented to them. It doesn't matter. You could present them with an orange and they'll tell you it's a grapefruit. You could tell them, like, oh, look at this good thing about, look at this good thing about what's happening with the animals, like, oh, there's these new things, and then they'll argue and debate that it was because Trump did it, he's an animal hater. Or you could present something good like, oh, isn't this wonderful for the environment? And then they'll get there and argue and debate that it's not good enough or fast enough. Like, they're wired into that. Now, I'm saying they, but I mean all of us. And what's most important, not only to not give your consent anymore to lamestream media, but to start to look within yourself, all of us, where argument and debate and divide and conquer and cynicism and criticism and doubt, all those energies are in you. Wherever you find yourself getting into experiences of argument and debate, and you want to look at your experiences across the board, because we have to clear this out of ourselves. We have to resolve this within ourselves. We have to come into a kind of divine neutrality. And of course, part of it is clearing the programming from the unconscious mind and the imprint within our own DNA. So we're unconscious of the fact that that stuff has actually been imprinted, like false imprints and even energetic implants in our DNA. We're not aware, most of us, that that's been going on. Nonetheless, it is. And once we clear that out, it's like being freed from a web of lies, and we start realizing, oh, I don't actually enjoy arguing anymore. That's not really fun. That's not my joy, and I don't want to sit there and criticize people and discredit them, or I don't even like playing that game of divide and conquer because it's not that fun anymore. Everybody's unhappy and fighting. And someone's always wrong, and someone's always to blame, and someone's always criticizing. I mean, you put something up on social media, and someone's got to make you wrong. That's what that game is. It's not even like, oh, that's interesting. What's going on there? So this is what, believe it or not, our current astrology is, even though go to my video and watch how your astrology is holding you back, because you do want to see that. But our planetary astrology is asking us to look at that within ourselves. And it's very important, especially for the lower or lesser or denser, heavier timeline realities, for them who are so unconscious and they're still playing with bricks and throwing bricks, and they're still, you know, playing with racial injustice, and they haven't realized and leveled up to this new kind of equality that we want for the whole of humanity, where they're still playing with this politician versus that politician and this wrongness and that wrongness. It does not mean we bury our heads in the sand. We do need to expose that which has been unequal. We have to find a new divine way to do it. And that's not through the wrongness, but rather through the clearing and resolution of it, where we come into a new consciousness beyond our old programming, where we were unconscious and ignorant of it, blind to it. We expose it in a way where we say, thank you, and we're done with this. And we consciously choose to liberate and free ourselves with it, from it, now that we know that it existed and we didn't know before. So I would invite you during this time to look within yourself, wherever you may have been part of Divide and Conquer, wherever you may have played with and or participated in any form of injustice or inequality or indignant righteous indignation of the wrongness. I've been there too, believe me, and it's not like I'm completely immune and impervious to this stuff. I'm working on it myself. So, but certainly unplug from lamestream media and the mentality that's being governed to you and the lies that you're basically being told through that lamestream media, and allow yourself to reveal to yourself where you may possibly have been believing and buying into that divide and conquer mentality, that somehow you're separate and apart from your fellow human, from your Mother Earth, from your divine source, from your nature kingdom, from the people you love and care for, whatever that is. And sometimes that does mean physical things you have to say goodbye to. That may mean that you have to say peaceful goodbyes to loved ones who you used to participate in experiences with, that they may still be in a divide and conquer mentality and just be always arguing and debating and fighting with you to the extreme where you're like, I recognize you as a part of myself that I once was. And I lovingly bless you, and I lovingly release you, and I lovingly forgive you as I forgive myself for all of those experiences we co-created together. And I'm ready to move on. And if you aren't, I bless where you are in the journey, and yet it's time for me to move on now so that I can no longer participate in that game of divide and conquer. I understand this because I went through this for most of my life with my family, my nuclear family. I just finally had to say, I just don't want to play this game anymore. And it was one of the hardest things I ever did. So I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying it does take us to look within ourselves to find where we're still playing and engaging, so that not only we can be liberated, but the whole of humanity can continue to benefit. So seek within yourself for the divide and conquer mentality and identify it and allow it to be cleared and resolved within yourself, and allow yourself to be deprogrammed from it. It is a form of mind control. It is a form of brainwashing. And it is time for us to free and liberate ourselves now from it. Finally, I'd like to just say, please do join us as well for the DNA clearing calls that we do, because that's the kind of stuff we clear out of our DNA, and we clear it out of all of our body, our beings, conscious and unconscious. And once it does, it's like, boom, gone. Whoa. You just, after that, it's just a matter of just seeing it and being like, oh, I'm not even in it anymore. You're just so liberated, so freeing. And that you can find out at LoriSpagna.com under the live events tab, under DNA activations, or sorry, it's often, we call it speed activations. Okay, you guys, I hope this has been helpful to you as you navigate your way through 2020 from the old paradigm and into the new paradigm. That's what I love to help people with. I just love, love, love learning and extracting information from the higher realms and then bringing it through here. Like, who knew we had divide and conquer mentality wired into our DNA and programmed in there, and that once we cleared that off, we were liberating ourselves from that density of the third dimensional paradigm so that we could level up and free ourselves and then find a new anchor in 5D and then even move beyond that. That's what I'm all about. That's what I love to do for people and animals, and I hope you will enjoy that too and love that too. So yeah, if you do, please take a moment and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so that others can benefit from this as well. And in so doing, we will find all of us are being freed from that old paradigm that is no longer serving the greater good of humanity, and that we are meant to resolve and level up from and evolve out of. All right, you guys, I think I said enough. So that's it for now. Love you so much. And of course, head over to LoriSpagna.com where you'll get free gifts. Lots of great stuff. Forgot to say that. You can sample out a DNA activation for yourself and get a class about it, and you can learn about helping your animals, and you can certainly learn about telepathy, animal communication, and psychic development, and of course your own dormant DNA, healing and activating, all of that, and also working with the crystals. I'll put all those links in the box below. Okay, you guys, lots of love. Till next time. Bye-bye.